A lot of people don't really know what they have. But what is important is they need to have a direction and know what their skill sets are. They need to know what they're good at, what their passions are, and that's where we start.
What I tell people is live authentically. Find your limiting beliefs, tell your authentic story because it makes you real, and people love that. And they can understand because they can relate. They can walk with you on that journey, right?
Hi everyone, welcome to Go All In Show here on ABC 15. I'm Stant, your host. I'm super excited today to introduce you to two of my special guests, Steve and Jayne Lowell. Massive action that I took from them, learned from them. Steve and Jayne Lowell are the thought leader, amazing thought leader, help so many entrepreneurs succeed for their goals, and also a international best-selling author for Deep Thought Strategy. I love your book so much, and it's so easy to read. And Steve also an award-winning speaker over for 35 years. Jayne, you are such an amazing professional speaker and the 7-figure mindset mentor, and you have your 8-figure business before, and now you turn into helping the other entrepreneur creating the same wealth and financial freedom, the same that you have. You guys are the founder of WIN Global Wealthy Entrepreneur Network. I mean, how can you manage and you have all your time to do all of that? Thank you so much for being here in our show, guys.
Thanks for having us,
It's a real privilege to be here.
We're really excited.
I'm super pumped, like the heat just like running through my body right now. Super excited.
I think that's why we love you. We can feel your energy, even though you're in one part of the country and we're in the other part. And
it's contagious, right?
It is. We just feel your energy and love it.
Yeah.
I love you. Thank you so much. Well, let's get into it right away. Deep thought strategy, Steve. Let's start from you. What is it, and how can entrepreneurs adapt to apply to use for their business?
Deep thought strategy is a process that helps people. It gives you an easy way to sell a complex idea. So we deal with a lot of entrepreneurs who are thought leaders and innovators and even coaches and speakers, and they've got a big idea and they've got some sort of a proprietary or innovative approach to something. And what they find is it's really difficult to sell it because they can't get their market to understand it. It's complex, it's new, it's something that's unique. And so deep thought strategy is a way, it gives a simple way to sell a very unique idea.
You say it in a very elegant way. I can feel it, your hands like moving. So it's not the broad idea, but it's like the narrow down, the deep idea. And I love that.
Yeah. When you meet people and you ask them, what do you do? Or, what is it that you're bringing to the world? And they start explaining and your eyes kind of glaze over and you're like, it sounds really cool, but I have no clue what they're talking about. Well, Steve actually helps them to make that complex idea really simple so that anybody and everybody can understand it.
Love it so much. And Steve, in your book, you're talking about deciding to be the one. That chapter is my favorite chapter. I'm just like, okay, I never thought about that. I just doing my own thing. But that chapter talk about deciding to be the one. Can you explain to us a little bit more? How can we really get ready for being that one?
So being the one is about being positioned in the mind of your market as an authority in your field as compared to everybody else. So it's about when your market or your prospects, when they look at you, what do they see? Do they see somebody that's another one of them, somebody who's part of a bigger community, a category of many, or do they see somebody where they go, that's the one I want to speak, I want to talk to that one. And the way you get there is by taking whatever your expertise is, whatever your product or service it is, and explaining it in a way that makes it it appear to be very unique and different from everybody else. And that's why we get so many people struggle, because they have to compete, they have to lower their prices or add in bonuses or freebies or something just to get the business, because they kind of look the same as everybody else. So what we need to do, if we want to be the one, if we want to emerge as the only logical choice, the authority in our field, is we have to present ourselves differently. We have to use different words. We have to use a different strategy so that we appear different from everybody else who does what we do. And that's what deep thought strategy really does.
So is this apply for new entrepreneur who just like didn't have any social proof or any credibility, authority before? Is that apply?
Absolutely. In fact, it applies almost more than somebody who's a seasoned expert, because usually a seasoned expert gets referrals and they've had years or a few years anyway of describing what they do. But, particularly if you're starting out new, you haven't written your book yet. Right. You haven't done your website. You haven't sort of created all the bad copy. This is really good because it helps explain what you do in a very succinct way. It's a system. Steve's created this system, and it really makes a difference when somebody's starting new. Now, that's not to say we don't have a lot of seasoned experts, because we do, because, they hear us and then they're like, oh, well, I need to speak about my business in a way that makes me sound different. But Right. It really does apply great for somebody who is new.
So for somebody who's new, is it okay? I mean, I help my clients who's new in this coaching business too. But I told them that your audience don't need to know that this is your day one of start coaching, right? So how can you, help the new entrepreneurial coaches set up themselves? And again, I know it's about the plan from the inside, right? But as the authority from the outside, like how can you help them with that?
Well, first thing they need to be clear on is
Right.
exactly what they actually do. So somebody who is thinking, I might like to start a business and maybe some kind of coaching, that's a deep thought strategy isn't going to help that person. They need to come with some clarity about what their expertise is. And ideally, they've got some experience in the field and they've got an idea. They've got maybe a slightly unique approach or something. And so what we do is, like Jayne was saying, is we help them avoid a lot of the mistakes. So, before they write the book, before they do all their advertising and spend a ton of money on branding and Facebook ads and all those things, they really need to have the right message that sets them apart from everybody else. And so oftentimes we'll get folks who come to us and they'll say, I've just written my book, right? And then we go through the whole deep thought strategy process with them and they say, man, I've got to rewrite my book now. I got to edit my book. Or,
change my website.
Right. Change my website, my social media profiles, whatever, because most people, when they brand themselves, they brand according to what they sell, according to their solution. And they refer to themselves as a something or and something. I'm a business coach. I'm a financial advisor. I'm a something. And they give themselves that title, which puts them in this same category as everybody else who holds that title. Right. So what we do is we help them release that title and claim something that is more unique to them. And so, I agree with Jayne, this, if they can do that work and craft that message before they invest in the website and the book and all those things, it's very good. But, as Jayne also said, we also have those folks who have been in their business for a long time. And now they've got something really innovative, right? Now they've got something really new and they need to know how to brand that because people don't get it. And so we help those people as well.
I love it. I love it so much. You also mentioned in your book, Steve, Jayne's mindset magic. Jayne, you can talk more about that because I know that not just the strategy, the mindset, the energy inside is really the key and the core, right? To keep the success going, the forward momentum. Can you share with us more about your magic, your mindset magic?
Sure. Well, I never really knew that mindset was such an important thing until about many years ago now, probably over 15 years. And this is when I owned a clothing business. And that business was doing 5.5 million and had been doing that for about 15 years. And I needed to double the sales. The economy had changed, and the retailers that we were selling to were competing with us. And so we needed to figure out, how could we double the sales in the business so that our margins would be a little bit better? And I had no clue how to do that. I was only selling majors, so people like Walmart, Sears, Kmart, those kind of people. So I couldn't market to anybody different. I didn't want to start selling a whole different product line. I focused on ladies wear. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll just go take a sales course, because I've never really done sales. Maybe I should really learn how to sell, because I was in charge of all the sales and merchandising. And so I went, some of your listeners will know Tom Hopkins. I went down to Arizona, and within like 3 minutes, I knew that this was not for me, because it was more direct sales, like real estate and insurance and whatever. But a business coach got on the stage and started talking about business coaching. And I'd never heard of personal development. I'd never heard of business coaching. I'd never heard of anything. I was kind of in a tunnel. I was creating my clothes and selling and, raising my kids. And so I came back to where I lived and I hired a business coach. And I thought she was going to tell me how to run my business. That's what I thought. She was going to give me some magic pill, right? The first thing she taught me was I was actually holding myself back. I was stopping myself from that belief that I could, double the sales. And so when I learned what my own limiting beliefs were, I was able to take that business and we went to 11.4 the next year. And so without changing products or selling any other companies. And it was purely because I had a trust issue. That was my limiting belief. And I thought I was the best salesperson. I could sell anybody. And so I thought, well, if I give that up, then who's gonna sell as well as I do? And so I realized I needed to hire 3 account managers, one for Sears, one for Kmart, and one for Walmart. And then I could go in and do the final close if I had to, or the big presentation. But they were on the ground. They knew these people. They knew this company. They knew every day if budgets opened or, what was happening. And so when I could get over my own trust issues, trust them, that's when things started to change. But the thing was that I loved working with the business coach so much that I said, you know what, I want to get out of this industry and I want to start coaching. And I kind of put that out to the universe. And in 2010, I closed that clothing company and went into coaching and have been doing that ever since, and helping other people figure out what their limiting beliefs are and how they can shift them.
So if someone come to you and say, I don't know what I should do, I don't know what skills that I have, I don't know what I'm good at, how can the deep thought strategy really help opening up, the mind, the door for that?
So with deep thought strategy, what we do is we look far beyond what you currently see in your business.
Right.
And that's why it's called a deep thought strategy, is we dissect it almost at a forensic level, and we go deeper, and we find what's in there. We find magic in there that you don't even know exists yet. So for example, you might start off as let's say a business coach. That's your identity. That's the way you think. Those are the products you have. We go deeper and deeper, and we find out something in there that is so much more than a business coach, and we bring that up to the surface. And so most people, when they come to work through the deep thought strategy process, have absolutely no idea what they're going to find. Doesn't mean they change direction or change careers. What it does mean, though, is they have something different to offer. So a lot of people don't really know what they have. But what is important is they need to at least know their direction. If they came to us and said, I'm not really sure what I want to do, they're not ready for us yet. They need to have a direction and know what their skill sets are. They need to know what they're good at, what their passions are, and that's where we start. And I want to add to something that Jayne was saying, because in the book, there's a chapter called The Jayne Effect, right? And that talks about the mindset effect that Jayne had on me, because, my business was flatlined for, the better part of 15, 20 years. And then Jayne came in and messed around with what's upstairs here. And then everything just sort of took off from there.
Well, that's why you married her.
Well, of course. I mean, that's what you do, right?
You guys are such a lovely example of, again, being an entrepreneur, you don't have to do it alone. I think it's more to have the partner doing it together. That's wonderful.
Or at least supporting you, like sometimes the partner doesn't have to be involved in the business, but not taking away your dreams or, dream stealing, but being there as a supportive person and saying, okay, yeah, let's do it. You can go. Like, I support you 100%. If you have that, you can do anything.
Yeah.
I interviewed Brian Tracy a few weeks ago, and the topic for the interview is the secret of self-made millionaire. And I asked him, like, what is the secret? And he said, well, the first thing is to make the decision. What was your, what is the story behind the scene, your backstory of where you came from, and how can you become a millionaire? How can you create multi-millionaire company like this?
You want me to start?
Sure.
So, here I am having an $11 million business. I closed the company in 2010. And at the time I was married to somebody else. And by 2012, we had lost all of our money. So we didn't have enough money to retire on, but we had, a substantial amount. And by 2012, we had lost it all. And I had to go through a lot of learning and growing because I didn't want to take responsibility, and I blamed him, and I blamed situations. None of my clients knew that this was happening to me. I was selling my jewelry just to eat. I was, selling pieces of furniture. We were fortunate to sell our big house, but then we had all this furniture, and I was selling pieces just to make ends meet. And then when I finally left him in 2014, I had to go out and recreate this whole business, still not telling anybody. I was not telling anybody. And it wasn't until a client said to me after spending an afternoon with me, he said, Jayne, so you're a millionaire. And my head, I was a millionaire. Like, I'd never left being a millionaire. And I went, yes. And then I went in the house after he had left, and I said to Steve, okay, this doesn't feel integral to who I am. Like, I can't go around telling people I'm a millionaire when I'm not, but I'm living as if I am. My head is telling me. And so I said to him, what if we combine our businesses together and create one company, which we call S&J Training Solutions, and let's have our first $1 million year, because I want to go into 2018 and I want to tell my story. So 2017, we spent the whole year. We did have our first $1 million year. And wouldn't you know it, as the universe always plans these things, this guy who asked me, are you a millionaire? He was holding an event here in Ottawa. It's called Motivational Mondays, Mo Monday for short. And he asked me if I would speak at it. And he had a whole plan of what I was speaking on. It was going to be like kind of his day with me and how I helped motivate him. And he went on to get a $20,000 sale, which he had never done before. And he had this whole plan. And I sat down and I said, okay, Majid, here's the story I'm going to tell. Wow. And I told him my whole story of having and losing it all and having it again, and how he inspired me. And then I got up on the stage a week later. So that was January 2018. And I told my story in front of a bunch of people that I had been meeting with like regularly over 2-3 years that had no idea. I was trembling. I was nervous. I still was working through, some of the blame and the issues, and I felt like I had to tell every detail of the story, because I felt like I was being judged. Of course I wasn't. But then my client said to me after I told the story, they were like, oh my goodness, Jayne, like, thank you for telling us that story. It makes you so real. And now when you tell us this is what we have to do, and this is what we have to devote ourselves to, now we believe you, because now we know you had to do it yourself. So, what I tell people is live authentically. Find your limiting beliefs, step into them, figure them out, and don't be ashamed of them. Tell your authentic story because it makes you real. And people love that, and they can understand because they can relate. They can walk with you on that journey, right? There's so many people out there, that have had it and lost it all, made it again, even lost it again, right? And they're still inspired and they're still going at it, and they want to know there's other people out there like them. So, that mindset of hiding everything and being embarrassed and ashamed, don't, because so many people have been through those journeys.
Yeah.
So
And
that's my journey of, how we got to get in the 7 figures and really motivate us to get there because I wanted to tell that story, of success again.
well, thank you so much for sharing this story, because being an entrepreneur is not just nice and rainbow and unicorn. You have that raining day, you have that earthquake, you have that storm, and you overcome it, and then now you have the legacy to live, right?
Right, exactly.
What about you, Steve? Like, what's your backstory look like?
My story is very simple. I struggled till I met Jayne. I did what she did and did it alongside her, and she just sort of took me up for the ride, because my story is, I come from the entertainment world. I've been playing guitar and singing on stage since the age of 6. And then when I got into my 20s, I decided to become a speaker. And then in my late 20s, I decided to train speakers because I learned that I had a gift for that. So I spent my whole life in and out of the business of training speakers. And I became known as one of the elite speaker trainers in the world. But then this whole deep thought strategy started to emerge, because what happened was when I met and joined forces with Jayne, our business went straight up like that. And one night I was thinking, what changed? I mean, other than my belief systems and Jayne helping me with my belief systems, I feel like we're doing the same thing we've always done. It's just that now it's working and before it wasn't. And then I put my mind to that, and that's when the Repumeter emerged. You know what the Repumeter is? That shows us where we are and our reputation. And the whole concept of deep thought strategy started to come over the next 2 years or so. And so while we were doing speaking and coaching and training, the deep thought strategy thing started to emerge. And then, we started to go global, and we started to travel the world. And it just sort of went up from there. But my life didn't really change financially until Jayne helped me with my belief systems, helped me get clarity on what my gifts were, and to start packaging them up so that we could monetize them properly.
Wow, that's the miracle. That's the magic.
Yeah,
it's right there. That's the Jayne effect. I love it. So, what is your exciting new project that you guys are working on right now? Can you guys share with us a little bit, and how can people reach out to you?
Why don't you tell them?
we have so many new projects
things going on.
So as you've been to, we have an event that we hold a couple of times a year. It's called Emerge, and we just had one again in May. And the website for the past Emerge is emerge21.com. And
it will be for the next one too.
Yes, it will. Yeah. So we just haven't changed the dates yet. But this is a place where people can come, get a high level of deep thought strategy, start to see how it works in your business. You leave with sort of a way of describing your business. We call it your expert insights. You leave with that. It's certainly the beginning, not the ending, as you know. It's just gets your mind revved up, but that's a really good starting place for people. But what I would encourage all of your listeners to do is go to our Facebook group, which is coaches/consultants emerge as the unmistakable authority and make more sales. And I'm sure you'll type that in somewhere for people. So yeah, that's the best place for people to go. You can get connected with us. We have about 400 people in that community, and we're always doing lives that are, free. And Steve's always giving away content and workbooks. And it's a really great community to have conversation in.
Wow. So so this is the free Facebook group for anyone.
Anybody can come here. You just have to answer 3 questions, and you're in. And we will welcome you and show you what the beginnings of deep thought strategy look like.
It's sort of a community service we provide to give people access to some of the knowledge and some of the technology and the wisdom, and create a sense of community, so that, because a lot of people want to, they follow us as we do our events. And when we were traveling the world, which we will be again, Jayne was always posting where we are and all those things, and people were always commenting. So it's a great way to get into our orbit, learn some of the great content that we have to share as our gift, and just sort of stay with us.
So Steve and Jayne, you've been, from having the business and then lost a lot of money and then build it up again, and now you're where you at. what is your legacy look like from here, from now on?
Our legacy is 4 beautiful children, and right now 2 and almost a third grandchild.
Yeah.
And really what our legacy is to show our kids that you can do anything you set your mind to. And, you know, Steve has a daughter, I have 3 boys, and they have watched me since the time they were born. I started the company, the original company, when my first son was 8 days old. So they have only ever seen me, run a company, be an entrepreneur, go after my dreams. They've watched it fail. They've watched me come back up again. And they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that anything is possible. And I think for Steve and his daughter, she's watched her dad, who has this gift and had an amazing gift, and people respected him and loved what he did, but he wasn't really monetizing it. And then she watched him change his mindset and watched how that changed the results of his business and how he was really helping that many more people. And so I'm very proud of the legacy that we're leaving, in the sense that our kids know that anything is possible and the sky is the limit. And we live that every day.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I think that your legacy is not just for your 4 children. Many of us, like including myself, that impact from you guys a lot, and also many more our viewers who will view in this show. Well, Steve and Jayne, thank you so much again for your time and your impact to this world. Looking forward to invite you guys for my show again next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, Nim. Bye now.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.